Hello everybody, how's it going today? Sam from White Trash Motorsports. Today I thought I would go over a quick video here to explain the E85 fuel system and clear up some myths, misconceptions, and just flat out untrue. Everybody, I see a lot of comments and videos lately. People are talking about asking questions mainly about converting their carbureted car to E85, this and that, and claiming that E85 makes the same power as gasoline. All right, well, we're going to clear this up real quick and go into some of the technical things. Gasoline itself is 116,000 BTUs per gallon. Now, the equivalent E85 is 88,258 BTUs per gallon. Basically, it takes 1.32 gallons of E85 to make the same energy as 1 gallon of gasoline. Now, E85 is beneficial for us boosted guys because E85 is a higher octane. Generally, E85 ranges from 100 octane to 115 octane, depending on the blend. And a lot of times, a summer blend of E85, straight pump E85, usually ranges from around 75 to 85% ethanol, 15% gas. However, in the wintertime, that blend can change drastically. It can go as low as 60% ethanol, 40% gasoline. The same way with the price. Price is all over the place. So one of the big misconceptions is with a lot of it is guys see, they roll in, and if you're not in a commie state like Pennsylvania, they roll into the gas station and they see E85, like $1 cheaper a gallon. And they think, wow, I can drive my car on that and I can save $1 a gallon. Well, the fact is you're not really saving, because if you think about it, if gasoline's $3 a gallon and E85 is $1 cheaper, it takes approximately 1/3 of that extra E85 to equal the same power as the gasoline. So in fact, to convert your car over to E85 simply for the fact of saving money isn't going to work. E85, it's a bit finicky as a fuel, but like I said, it has benefits with boost. The typical E85 system, once you start getting in the realm of making more than 500 horsepower, your fuel system becomes critical. I've burnt engines up in this thing multiple times from not having enough fuel. I started out with twin 450-liter pumps in the stock fuel tank, running through a 3/8 line up to the rail. I'm using 150-pound fuel injectors in this. Well, what I ran into problems is on a quick burst, it would be fine, because an LS fuel rail has such a volume to it. I mean, if you see, these fuel rails are huge. They probably hold almost half a gallon of fuel. So that would give you a little bit of reserve when you would roll in it before the fuel pressure would start falling off. As you can see, the fuel rails on an LS motor are gigantic. Problem is around 800 to 1,000 feet, if demand stayed high, the car would go lean to the point that the injector duty cycle would shoot through the roof because it couldn't keep up. So we decided to go with an external regulator. We plumbed everything with -8 feed line from the regulator all the way back, and a -6 return line also all the way to the back. This is the fuel pressure sensor for the Holley system. Then we ran into fuel filter issues. It took a while to get fuel filters that would work with our system. We ended up settling on, and trust me, for a daily driver, try to run your factory tank as long as you can. A fuel cell completely sucks at a daily driver. Believe me, I'm going to get a new factory tank for this, and we're going to weld a sump in it. That way I can have my gas gauge back in a little bit of capacity. In the meantime, I had this 8-gallon fuel cell laying around, so we decided to use it. As you can see, my 8AN line comes out of the tank into a 100 micron pre-filter. That's pre-pump. Then it runs out here, which is basically, this is a knockoff of a Aeromotive A1000. It's the Speedmaster pump. It's been pretty good. It's rated to flow 1,100 pounds per minute. at 60 psi, I believe. The other thing when you're running a big pump like this is you have to pay attention to your power wires. As you can see, we're running relatively big 8-gauge power wires feeding, and the relay's running directly to the battery relay pump. You want to make sure you keep enough power to supply the fuel you need. The other big thing that gave us the problem with it was underneath here is the fuel system we run, the fuel filters we run. The manufacturer of my injectors, which is Snake Eater Performance, they require that you run a 10 micron fuel filter. Well, it took a while to find a 10 micron that was E85 compatible, but could flow enough to match our horsepower of our engine. We settled on this Aeromotive filter we got from Summit. It was rather pricey. It was like $150 for a fuel filter. I know it's crazy, but sometimes you got to spend the money to make these things live. Now that feeds out of there, like I said, all the way to the front. We're using the braided. Another thing to keep in mind, if you're running E85, you have to run a Teflon line. You can't run the regular braided steel AN line. It has to be Teflon lined. If you run synthetic rubber-based hose, the E85 will break it down. You'll end up with clogged injectors and clogged filters and possibly burning your engine up because you can't get enough fuel into it. So that dash 8 feeds directly up here to a PKY fuel regulator. That feeds up here, dash 8 line, and then we have the 8AN to LS fuel rail adapter there. So the nice thing about it is it eliminates all of the rubber hose and no clamps or anything. It makes the system easier to service, and it keeps the IHRA guys at the local track happy. I mean, other than that, it's nice. The 100 octane, like I said, does well. Right now in Pennsylvania, you wouldn't save anyway. It's way more expensive because for some reason our E85 costs as much as a gallon of regular gas. But at the same time, even $3.50 a gallon race fuel isn't a bad deal. Generally on this motor, we run around 22 psi a boost. You know, we haven't had it on a dyno, but by ET and fuel calculation numbers, we're north of 700 horsepower. So that should be about doing it. I said, I've seen a lot of people asking questions about E85, and a lot of people wondering if they could just run it in their carb car just because it was cheaper. I said, it is cheaper, but when you add the factor that it uses 1.32 gallons of E85 to 1 gallon of gasoline, in the long run, it's not cheaper. It is safer, though. The nice thing with tuning, it's a lot more forgiving. You can be way off on your air-fuel ratios. So for you guys that want to tune yourself and work on your own tune, it's definitely more forgiving with the 85. Like I said, your main thing to remember is you have enough fuel line, enough filter, enough pump, and enough injector to feed the horsepower. All right, guys. Any questions about that? Just leave it in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll talk to you later.